Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Film Freakz with a Z, the podcast all about movies, possibly with a Z. The fan vote movie is today, that's right, but we still want your recommendations, so you can either comment on this video your recommendation, or if you email us at ff.filmfreaks@gmail.com. We'll also include you into probably the next vote. I think right now we only have 2 new movies, and then the rest will be repeats, but that's just how it goes. Alright, enough idle chit-chat. Let's introduce ourselves. I am YemmytheFerret, a.k.a. Yemmy. Who am I here with?
Hi, it's Greedy Waffle.
And Taymation.
And Coco Gamer.
And today we have a special guest.
Hey, what's going on, you guys?
Who are you?
Quick question. I am AndrewMycol. So for those who don't know me, I am a Power Rangers YouTuber. I mainly talk about stuff that's currently going on with Power Rangers, mainly talking about the show that's currently going on, the toys that go on, anything news related. And so I am here to talk about the movie that I recommended, which is the 2017 movie of Power Rangers. And so I am going to be reading the synopsis, going over the cast, and basically talking about, why exactly I was the one to recommend this movie. And so the synopsis I have here is 5 ordinary teens must become something extraordinary when they learn that their small town of Angel Grove and the world is on the verge of being obliterated by an alien threat. Chosen by destiny, our heroes quickly discover that they are the only ones who can save the planet. But to do so, they will have to overcome their real-life issues and before it's too late, band together as the Power Rangers. And so, with that, the cast, now this cast is actually pretty impressive. Now, the first person listed was Naomi Scott, which I'm pretty sure she was in Aladdin, the real-life adaptation of Aladdin, if you remember her. We also had Becky G. I don't know why they didn't list her last name, but that's what I found. They also had Dockery Montgomery. So if you've seen Stranger Things Season 3, he was there. I think his cast name was Billy in Stranger Things. Then we had Elizabeth Banks, who played Rita Repulsa. And I think pretty much everyone is pretty much familiar with Elizabeth Banks. She's done a lot of things. Some other people include Ludi Lin, R.J. Seiler, Sarah Gray, the one, the only Bryan Cranston, who's been through a lot of movies and shows. David Denman and Bill Hader as well was in this. He played Alpha 5. And so the reason why I chose this movie is, well, because I am a big Power Rangers fan, and I recommended this movie because even though it has a different tone than what you would normally see in the Power Rangers show, with it being a kid's one, this movie was kind of darker, and even though there's been a lot of mixed reviews about it, I actually quite liked it, honestly. And so I want to start things off with, what did you guys think of the Power Ranger movie from 2017?
Well, Andrew, we can tell you have a lot of passion for Power Rangers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, I think that I personally am going to break your heart because I did not like the movie.
I'm going to break your heart, too, and I did not like the movie.
That's fine.
Sorry, I kind of feel the same. I did not enjoy the movie.
For me, I enjoy the movie. It's a perfect hell no. Is it fun? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the main reason that I didn't like the movie is I felt like the acting was really stiff. I didn't like the line delivery, and I don't know if that's more because of the script or because of the actors and actresses. But me personally, I felt like it was a little bit boring at times. I mean, it kicked up at the end, of course. But I didn't like the performances of the main Power Rangers. And of course, this is coming from me. I'm not a Power Rangers fan. I didn't grow up with Power Rangers. I really never watched the series. So this is me just looking at it from like the perspective of, this is an action movie that I'm just watching that happens to have 5 different colored suits of armor,
Right.
Yes.
That was part for me is, I grew up, and I wasn't a huge Power Rangers fan, but I enjoyed it enough as a kid. And that seeing this, I was like, this is a fun take like I like where they took this direction for Power Rangers than like the TV show did.
Right.
So that was my thoughts on it. What was I going to say? Like I said, there were a lot of things that kind of bugged me about it. I thought Rita's acting was probably the worst, actually. Like I didn't mind the Power Ranger, the kids acting that much, but Rita's I felt just was a little. She's not. What's her name? Elizabeth Banks.
Right.
Yes.
I don't think she's really used to playing the bad guy and stuff, and I don't think she did a great job.
She was oddly sexual with a lot of the things that she did.
Oh, yeah.
She really was. I will be honest. Like, even when I watched it this time, I was like, for Rita Repulsa, I don't even remember her being nowhere near as sexual as where Elizabeth would take in this.
Yeah, when she was like looking at the Red Ranger, it was like, she like my Ranger, it's like, is she into him, or is she looking him like kind of like to kill him? I was so confused.
Right.
Well, she gets off to killing people, so
yeah, she gets off to killing people, but she had that intention. She's like, oh yeah.
It might be part because of her armor, but it might be part because just who she is, I guess.
Yeah, it was so weird.
She puts on the armor and she immediately goes, aha! But when she's not in her armor, she's just like, I'm just a regular single mother caring for my 3 kids. I would like to speak to the manager, please.
Oh, yeah.
And then she puts on the armor. She's like, give me all the gold. Gold.
Right.
I'm glad you brought that up, though, because it's what made me like question this time movie. What's so special about gold with her? They never explain why she wants gold. Out of all the resources in the world, gold is the one thing she fascinates.
I bet Andrew...
Goldar's made out of gold.
Yeah,
she needs gold to make Goldar.
Andrew probably knows.
Yeah, so the main thing with this is that, like, for those that don't know, Goldar was one of the other main villains from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and the gimmick here was that they were collecting the gold all because they wanted to make Goldar, but at the same time, I'm like, but in the show, I'm like, in the show, it was like, okay, he was a villain that came in to help Rita Repulsa, and he had this new gang with him. But, like, in the show, even, they didn't even mention, it was just his name. He wasn't made out of gold, and so I was like, man, Rita Repulsa really must have a thing for gold to make Goldar. And for him to be beaten like that, it's like, they could have done something different with it, honestly.
They could have done. Mm-hmm. Instead of like very fascinating gold, they could just describe it as like, like try different type things and find out that gold's like the best substance or something like that, and not just like gold, I need gold. Like explain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially
like I said, it was like a callback to the old show because Goldar was gold colored, and so that's why fan service, we're gonna put Goldar in there. Even though most people, when they saw what Goldar was gonna look like, I think it leaked as a toy first. Everyone was like, "The hell is that?"
How do you make a toy out of that?
I know.
Exactly.
One ugly toy. Oh my
I know.
gosh.
That's why all the fans were upset about Goldar.
Yep.
There you go. Well, same way with like Doomsday from the Batman v Superman movie. Like, it doesn't look the same. It's a completely different story, and the original story is better than what they did. I don't know about that for the Power Rangers, obviously, but it's just one
I
of those
like
things.
the idea of Rita being a next Power Ranger. I really like that.
Yeah, I did too. Like, it was different than what we've seen before. Like, obviously from Power Rangers, when they found Tommy was the evil Green Ranger, and then eventually he came to join the Power Rangers. At least with this, it showed Rita was an actual Ranger, and she was with the good guys until eventually the power got to her head, and she was the one that became the evil Green Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that was some somewhat decent villain story of like why would she hates the Power Rangers, I guess, because she's power hungry and the Power Rangers tried to stop him and try to stop her.
So, one of the bigger problems I had with this movie was 3 out of the 5 Power Rangers had more screen time than 2 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, you kind of knew who was going to be a Power Ranger as soon as they appeared on screen. But the fact that they didn't give the 2, I think it was the black and the yellow Power Ranger, did not get any story, almost whatsoever. I think they had, a combined, total of, 5 minutes of backstory. Whereas, red, pink, and blue have all the time in the world to get their stories to be heard. Like it got to the point where I don't even know the names of the black or the yellow Power Ranger, and it got to the point where like I wasn't recognizing which Power Ranger it was out of outfit when they were just in a group of people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think that's a big like negative for me because it's like you have 5 heroes, give them all the same amount of screen time. Like Infinity War did it pretty well, and they had over like 20 heroes.
Yes.
This movie only has 5, and I know it would probably lengthen the movie a little bit, but I think cutting back a few of the scenes for the other 3 and putting these other 2 in the forefront a little bit more or a little bit better would have been a better decision.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Because I noticed, especially, like, I noticed it a little bit, but then the final, like, battle, I noticed that, like, they barely had any screen time even for that. And hell, come on. Yep. At this point, they're all Power Rangers. Give them all at least the same amount of screen time or things to do in this battle instead of just like, I'm going to run off. I'll show up again when we're supposed to line up.
And it seemed like when the Black Ranger did have, like, his time in the movie, it was, like, to remind us of his mother, being sick. It's like, I want to say, like, 8 out of 10 scenes from him or with his mother or talking about his mother.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think the Yellow Ranger even had less time, too, now that I think about it.
Yeah, she had the least amount of time out of everyone. Like, she only had, like, one scene with, her family.
Yeah.
And it was only for, 30 seconds. Like, it was just a random dinner scene. Like, it didn't explain, where she got the power from. She was just, it's just some random teenage girl that's, has, teenage problems, and then you have Zach, who was the Black Ranger, and, I mean, they showed his mom and whatnot in the story, but they only mentioned it, once or twice, and it was at least if you give the other 3 Rangers the screen time, at least for the other 2, give them the fair amount of time so that way we can say, so we know what all 5 of them are here for. We know why exactly, Zordon would choose these 5, and the power coins would be, I know who this person is and this person is. So I would have liked it if these 2 Rangers would have at least had the same amount of screen time. And I agree with you guys.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Chinny, right?
Yes.
Was the youngest out of the group, so maybe they just thought since she was so young, maybe hold back on her dialogue. I don't know.
She was the same age as Kim. They were in a class together.
Yeah.
Yeah, all 5 of them I think were in the same class. I think
they're all in.
I'm talking about actual real life age, not movie age.
Yeah. Right.
But still, this should Still, age shouldn't really have a factor into it, because that was true. Then, I mean, in our movies, we were it's if the youngest baby, give him any screen time.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, usually it's the kids who have who really tear down movies because a lot of Hollywood producers will be oh, that kid's cute, let's put him in the movie, but they can't act for shit. So it's like the beginning of Wonder Woman. You have this really terrible little girl actress who's oh yeah, she's a cute little girl, but her line delivery is as robotic as RoboCop. There's nothing interesting about that.
Yes.
I don't think it's the same thing with this though. Maybe it's more so her inexperience that they didn't want to give her as much screen time. But if that's the case, I felt like they all were kind of inexperienced with line delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the Red Ranger, obviously he had the most screen time. He's, I feel like he's the most well known of the bunch. Because he was in Stranger. Well, he was the main character, but it was in Stranger Things 2 and 3, and I think he was in some other shows that teenagers liked.
Yeah.
Like Degrassi or something. So he's been around for a while. This was the first thing I ever saw Naomi Watts in. Obviously, because of this, she got Aladdin. But
yeah,
not Naomi Watts, whatever her name is, Naomi something.
Naomi Scott.
I will say though, I loved Billy. He was a great character. The Blue Power Ranger.
Yes.
He was awesome.
Yes.
I feel like with the character he was given, with R.J. Cyler, he was the actor. I really feel like out of this movie, yes, the Red Ranger is obviously, the main person here, but the Blue Ranger was okay, he really was owning into the character of this nerdy guy, and he was the one that like came in and found the coins, and he was the one that like brought them together. And then there was one part where I believe it was Rita. He put it like Rita like tossed him into the river, and he died for a little bit. And then when he came back, that was how it tied the team together. And so it's like, if it were not for Billy having that moment, it would have been weird how they would have eventually became the Rangers if they didn't at least have something like that. And so I really did like what you were saying with the Billy's acting. I thought that was really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Billy was the best character for sure.
Yeah.
My least favorite thing was Kim, like not like just the actress, but like her storyline, where they like tried to make her to be a good guy, and then like her friends were the bad guys, but really her friends were like the victims.
Yes.
Of like a hate crime, pretty much, kind of. I don't know if that's considered a hate crime, but like, yeah, it's spreading nudes of somebody else, and then like they get like scared by like their car destroyed by a putty, and she's like, "That'll teach you." It's like, teach them what? You're the bitch here.
They don't even know it's her. Even it's like, yeah, that's gonna teach them that they don't know you're getting revenge back on them. I mean,
but also, they don't deserve revenge back on them. You were kicked out of the group for a legitimate good reason.
Yes.
Exactly. Like, I kind of like with where they went with this, I was like, okay, so she was basically the one that was the bad guy, so I was kind of surprised they weren't like, okay, well, maybe we should, get another Pink Ranger. You're not really a good guy here, you know what I mean?
I mean, she learned from the mistake, I guess, which is, that was kind of the message. It was like, you learn from your mistakes and move on, which was a good message, but still, I feel like if they had just swapped the storyline, but then she wouldn't have been in detention, so...
Right.
Yeah.
how come Billy was in detention? I forget why.
He blew up his lunchbox. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's
right. Yeah, that's right.
That was a good line, though. He's like, he blew up his lunchbox, so it kind of makes sense because he's blowing up the mine area.
Oh, yeah.
He messes with bombs.
Yep.
I wanted to say something about the beginning that kind of made no sense.
Yeah,
So like when the meteor struck them and they're all there. Okay,
Right.
how does the stones stay at one place, but her body is all the way in the middle of the sea?
That I also question, so...
Well, I mean, they were right on the shore. She got knocked into the ocean. They buried the stones under the ground so they didn't get knocked away by the shockwave. She was pushed into the ocean by the shockwave. There's currents in the ocean. They just dragged her body out, and then... I mean, it was still pretty close to shore because the fishing boat doesn't go that far offshore.
That's true.
Still, like, you should see, like, the stones, there's, like, nothing water around, but it seemed like it's kind of, like, halfway across the town. I still wouldn't really drag her body that much. And it didn't look like she'd gone that far either with that shockwave. All I saw was just getting flashed. She could just drop there and right next to the stones.
Well, you got to remember, it's also like millions of years. I think the robot says like 6.8 million or something like that.
Yeah, 68.
65.
Okay.
Something like that. But
68, somewhere in the 60s.
So, yeah.
So,
I mean, you would think that obviously she wasn't like in sedimentary rock or anything like that would hold in place. So obviously her body could move, especially with tidal waves and currents and stuff like that happening. So.
Plus, the stones probably aren't in the exact same place where they were buried either.
No.
Like, if they were that close to the shoreline, and if you look at where they were buried, wasn't near a shoreline. So it's clearly tectonic plates of work their magic.
Yeah.
Also, guys, we had the actor from The Office.
I was going to say later.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to be like, another week, anher...
Yeah, well, I thought that was funny that it was Elizabeth Banks and him, like, in this, like, this was filmed right around the same time, probably as Brightburn, and I was just like...
Yep.
I was like, huh.
He's not having much luck in his acting career.
No.
The weird thing
he
is,
just
like...
gets minor dad roles.
He gets angry dad roles. That's...
Yes, that's all he does. Now, he had an angry one in Office as well, so...
Oh, yeah, and that's probably what someone saw him in Office and went, oh, he can do angry pretty well. Why don't we get him?
I feel like he didn't really have much to do in the movie, though.
Yeah, but I like that
he was
kind
like
of gave him
one scene and he was gone.
Yep.
His arc was finding the body and then getting his truck rolled over, which there's a lot of cars that get rolled over in this movie that have
Yes. Oh, yeah. Gotta love Megazords. Even in a Power Rangers movie, cars, oh yeah, they're getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, one last thing about the beginning scene. I was not expecting a semen joke at the beginning of this movie.
Oh yeah.
That really caught me off guard, and I was like, okay.
Right.
It's like gonna be one of those type of movies.
I thought you were talking about the alien, like you've seen Bryan Cranston as an alien stuff. I thought you were talking about that scene. Like I don't remember any semen joke in that scene. Oh,
now that would have been funny. That was a little off-putting at the beginning, especially because the rest of the movie doesn't really have anything like that. There's like no like jokes like that. It's just like that one scene. It was kind of weird, but yeah, it was fine. I laughed.
Well, I guess mission accomplished at that point. I don't know.
All right. So my biggest gripe about this movie, which I love the Power Rangers movies, and growing up, I'm not as big a fan as Adam. Yes,
Andrew.
Andrew, close enough.
Andrew, sorry. Like the Mighty Morphins, growing up, I loved them, but I just got set off. Like I never, like as I got older, I grew up, and I was like, oh, okay. Anyways, my biggest point of this movie was the way it was produced. So it wasn't the story that bothered me, but the way it was directed and produced. And it was just like these kids. They show no scenes of them training in the Transformers. We'll call them. What are they called?
Megazords.
Yeah,
Megazords.
So it shows them like having no training in them, and here they are, like all of a sudden, like knew how they work, like from the beginning.
Well, they had controlled by the suits.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, they had the gag where they had the gag where the Megazord falls to the ground because someone forgot to move the leg, which was kind of funny, but still, it's just like. How it's like they just flip the light switch? I don't know, and maybe Andrew can tell me more about it. But
yeah, well, even in the movie, I do agree with that because the only time we ever saw like them in a way trying to use it was, I believe it was Zach. They had came across the Mastodon Zord, and I believe Zach was trying to like move it around, trying to use it without his suit. Without being morphed up, and so with them running around using that Zord, it was like, oh well, of course, without them being morphed up, it would be kind of hard for them to control. But I do agree that they didn't really have much training with the Zords individually, and so it was like they went from literally no experience to using the Zords to then coming together, forming like even the individual Zord fights they had. It was like, how did they go from no experience to fighting fighting Goldar by themselves, let alone like coming together as a Megazord? And that was another thing I thought was kind of weird, was that it's almost like they fast forward a couple months into like, okay, here we go, like no experience, okay.
But they had 11 days though.
That's true. They had more than 11 days because like you see him making the marks on the wall, and he got up to 11. And then the training continued for a few more days after that.
That's what I'm saying is the way it was directed. I mean, it's like they say that the kids, they can't fight, they can't fist fight, they can't do this, they can't do that. And yeah, maybe, they did try to, justify that, but, the many training scenes. But I don't know, maybe I'm just like, maybe the suits make them like fight better and control those things, but it was just so weird.
It wouldn't make any sense.
And then someone who's not a Power Rangers fan like Andrew, maybe they won't know that, and then they might be a little turned away by it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
The thing that I was thinking was like they had like a mind sync, kind of like Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, like I'm not a Power Rangers fan, so that's just me guessing. I'm trying to justify.
They talked about that in this movie.
Did they?
Yeah, he's like, when you have the armor, they sync up with the Zords, which you see them when they first get in the Zords with the suits on. Like things shoots out from the seat and like connects to their spine.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember that.
I thought they just held them in place.
That's kind of what I thought too. I thought it was just like a seatbelt. It's a futuristic seatbelt. Ooh.
I like how the Red Ranger had a sword and he just knew how to use it and knew he had it.
It's the OG sword from Pacific Rim that they never used throughout the entire movie.
I feel like this movie really had a lot of Pacific Rim vibes to it, especially with like the Zords and Megazord. Like it was like they were trying to be a Power Ranger movie, but in the end, like when they had the Zord fight and Megazord fights, it was like, okay, this movie's clearly trying to be like Pacific Rim here.
Well, the funny thing is, at the end, it's Pacific Rim Uprising. It's recommended.
Yes, that is true. Although I wouldn't recommend watching that one. Uprising is
the first one.
Yeah, the first one's great. The second one,
Second one, it has its moments, but overall, it's not as good.
Getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
We are.
So, my question is, now that they built the giant Mechazord and they were able to fight in that, does that mean that they're going to get something bigger in the next movie or something better in the next movie? Because like they're ending this movie on like the big note, right? They made this big robot. So what comes after that? Do they start with the big robot when there's a world-ending thing again, or is the next movie going to be like, okay, they start in their ranger shoes, then they go to the dinosaurs, then they go to the big thing? Like how's it going to work?
Yeah, that's what they do. They always start as the Rangers, go to the individual Zords, and then make the Megazord. And
every show had that.
Well, that was the formula of the show, and they made it like they gave it a reason in this movie that like you never escalate the battle. You let if they escalate, you go up. Stronger.
Yep.
And that was just thrown in there to explain. This is why they never do it in the show. Just go straight to the Megazords and crush the monsters.
Yep.
I'd say it is very plot convenience that they form when they're in a hole.
Right.
We're pushing a hole. Now like Megazords form. Like what are they thinking now? It's just like the machine's just doing it automatically. Because when they got up, they were very, very surprised.
Everyone was surprised because no one had seen that happen yet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My guess is it was the Zia crystal or whatever it's called. Gave them a little bit of energy, and then their bond and everything.
Right, that's what I would be guessing as well. Because I mean, this whole movie was like they had to bond together to get their the power to become Power Rangers. So I guess maybe that was because like they found the crystal, and so maybe they used that crystal to like form the Megazord, and then that's my only guess because they never really explained like how in the world that even happened.
Like they could have showed like if there was something with the crystal, could show the crystal like going like brighter or something, and then they start forming that. That would have been a little bit better, but instead of just randomly forming.
Well, it was fire everywhere, so you couldn't see anything.
Yeah, fire.
My other problem with that scene. My other problem with that scene is Goldar digs the hole. And then suddenly he is like 100 feet away from the hole.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Just like,
yep.
It's like, why are you not attacking it while it's forming? You could just destroy it.
Exactly.
Well, why didn't they keep Goldar face like the old series from the Mighty Morphin? Like, why was his face like all covered up? I mean,
again, that was one of the fault. Like fans were upset because they did a new character design for him and it was awful, and everyone's like, well, why?
Yeah. I guess maybe they were going for like playing off the designs of the Power Ranger suits because the suits in the movie, I agree, they were not the greatest in the world, if not even good at all. And then you look at Goldar, and yes, in the show, Goldar, he was a really cool character, but in the show it was just this big gold thing and not really
like a Sphinx,
no face at all. Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Tay?
I said he was a Sphinx, wasn't he?
Oh, okay.
I believe so, yeah.
And I felt like Goldar died way too easily too.
Oh yeah.
The two swords in the chest. I thought he was like fully made of metal, or gold. But did he have like a heart or something in the middle?
And wasn't he like powered up by by Rita? Yeah, he was powered up by Rita. So that two swords shouldn't do crap.
Exactly. Like I kind of felt like that execution to Gare was like. They had like the whole Megazord thing, and then when he absorbed Rita, it was like, okay, but what use was Rita's power if he was easily beaten like that? So.
Yeah.
But they did the special move they've been training for the entire movie.
Easily beaten. They had to do something that no one had ever seen.
Exactly.
Combine the Zords into one, and then stab him.
Yeah.
Well,
stab him.
Even for the fake death, I thought he just went down too easily as well.
Yeah.
Well, he's just a pile of gold. If he had actually been a Sphinx monster,
they actually had the real form of him. That would have been cool. Like,
oh yeah.
And if they actually ever get a sequel, we might see that. But I mean, it sounds like they're never.
I highly doubt there'll be a sequel.
Yeah, no, they were hoping, but it didn't do well enough. So
it's not like they really set up a sequel. Like I don't remember there being like an after credits scene or anything like that.
There was.
Well,
So
Rita says like there's more of me, etc., etc. I mean,
well, there are a lot of monsters, but there is an after credits scene. You see, Tommy is missing.
oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Who in the original is the Green Ranger, or
Okay.
the new Green Ranger in this case.
yeah, that's what they were teasing was like before they like were trying to get a sequel in the movie, like in the very end in the credits. It was like they were teasing Tommy coming in if they ever did a second movie. But for those who don't know, when Hasbro bought Power Rangers in 2018, Hasbro said, "Okay, yeah, no, we're not doing a sequel. We're completely rebooting this thing. Like, no, we're not following up on that last movie."
Oh, okay.
The movie did so bad. Then we're just like, oh nope, just bad idea.
Yep.
I will say though, as much as we're bashing like the suits and stuff like that, the CGI was really impressive in the movie.
Oh yes,
Even like
I agree.
usually when people are looking out of completely CGI suits, like in Green Lantern or even like Bruce Banner in the Ironmonger suit in Infinity War, it looks really awkward. And this movie actually did it really well. It looked really natural. I was really impressed.
My guess is that how they did that, I'm guessing they had a headpiece, like an actual kind of helmet with an exposed face, and just the bottom part of the suit was the CG. And,
or like when the mask was in front of him with CG or something like that.
Yeah, and then when you see the mask goes on, then it's a full CG character.
Well, it's 2017, so there's pretty great CGI during that time. So I'm glad they actually used it. It's probably an expensive movie, but with no real payout.
Right. Like, I think if I remember,
overseas.
I'll go ahead.
So I think it did okay overseas. Not enough to, like I said, get a sequel, but enough that they, it wasn't a bomb.
Right.
They didn't lose money on it.
Like probably little kids enjoy it. That's how they got most of the money. But like people who actually like wanted to see the movie to like enjoy it, you're like, this is not what it's hyped up to be.
Oh yeah. Like that was the sad thing. It was like I think it was Saban when they had Power Rangers at the time. It was like they were trying so hard to like get new people to watch Power Rangers, and then if this was your first time watching Power Rangers and not seeing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you would have been like, "Oh, this is Power Rangers. This is what's been going on for 20 plus years." No thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
So. But at least now with Hasbro buying them, they bought them in 2018, and at least with what Hasbro's been doing, like with business stuff, hopefully, if we do get a Power Ranger movie by Hasbro, hopefully it turns out better than what Saban had did with this one. But it's like I agree with what everyone was saying. Like they're not not everyone's a Power Ranger fan, but had it been like a movie like the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie from like '95, I believe. Then yeah, people would be like, oh, so this is this is what Power Rangers is about. This is actually a really pretty good movie,
So if they kept it more campy, do you think that it would have been better?
I think so in a way, yes, because it's like harkens back to what Power Rangers has been for all this time. This one was, to me, as a Power Ranger fan, always like watching Power Rangers for quite some time. Like it was so different than what they had seen before, and I think that's what probably threw people off the most.
Mm-hmm. So they're pretty much going like new people won't be able to like it, and then also Power Rangers fans probably won't like it either. So they've kind of alienated both of those demographics.
I feel like it, yeah. Also, for those who didn't see it, for those who were Power Ranger fans, there was a little like a 5 or 10 second cameo from the original Green Ranger and also the original Pink Ranger.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So what was the most fan-service moment? Was it like the Go-Go Power Rangers theme song playing?
Yeah, that was definitely it.
Yeah, that was definitely it, because that was the same theme song they used in the 1995 movie.
Yeah, it did sound very out of place because it sounded older.
Oh, yeah.
So, Andrew, I have a question for you. Who is your favorite Power Ranger or actor during, like, no matter what, like the TV show series, movie, whatever?
So, like, you're talking about, like, favorite Power Ranger, like, of all time, I guess, right?
Yep.
So, I have a lot of Power Rangers. All the times that I've watched Power Rangers, it's coming down to a lot of shows. There's one Power Ranger that I've noticed, and over the time, it's like he had a really good backstory. And I think my favorite one would be Sky. He was the Blue Ranger for Power Ranger SPD. That was a season that came out in 2005. And basically the reason I like him the most over like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the other seasons was he started off as a Blue Ranger, and his father was a Red Ranger from Power Ranger Time Force. And basically the Blue Ranger, he always wanted to be the Red Ranger. But then you see this guy who was like a bad guy. He was, I think, stealing. And so the Blue Ranger was like, man, why is this guy from out of nowhere coming in as a Red Ranger? And yet here I am, a Blue Ranger, and almost never going to get it. And then as the season went on, this Blue Ranger was like, you know what? No, I am fine being on a B team, being a Blue Ranger. And I liked his character. And eventually he became a Red Ranger in that season. That's what I really liked about Sky the Blue Ranger.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had one last thing that I wanted to mention about the movie. Why didn't the villain just kill all the Power Rangers when she had them roped up?
Because then new Rangers would have been picked, and she might not have been able to beat them.
But she was okay with killing Billy.
Billy, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you gave me information. Now I have to kill him.
Well, technically, she could have just killed them all. I bet the stones would have taken a little bit longer to find the next people, and they would have been untrained. I think it would have been way easier for her in the long run. I know it's a movie, and you can't do that.
Yeah, kill the main character so fast.
But
it's like I can't. The pitch meeting. Oh, so she kills him? Well, no. Why? They're the main characters. Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like, why did she kill him? Because.
Exactly.
And if that's the case, why didn't the Blue Ranger's Power Stone automatically go and try and find another Blue Ranger?
That was weird.
That's a good point.
Movie News was like, oh, wait, no, can't. Bruce was like, nah, he's going to survive. I just got to stick around.
It only happens when all of them die.
Is that? Oh, okay.
Right.
That'd be kind of weird, though. It's like just one stone's just sitting there. It's like, well, what am I going to do now?
Exactly. Like it's like here you go with a whole hour and a half movie with these Power Stones. Like they were trying to find the Rangers, and then they all 5 die, and it's like, well, there goes an hour and a half of our time.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, Nick, but do you remember when they with them on trays and they started burning up? That part made no sense. Because I get like they're kind of activating, but why would they burn that part and never burn again in the movie?
That's
Good
true.
question.
There was just like that one part that everything like cooked and blew up.
Yeah.
Right.
It's probably just to stick it to the 2 girls that were picking on the pink one.
I guess so. I don't know.
That is weird.
And then the one that brought it up that she couldn't breathe didn't even pass out or anything. And here's Zach. He just randomly passes out.
Yes.
Exactly. Like I guess maybe they were playing up the part where like they were playing it up like, oh well, we're not really powerful now, and then all of a sudden Megazord, oh look at me, I have so much strength now.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of strength, when they first discovered that they have super strength and all that, it seems like they built it up, like they're like that, like 5 seconds, and then all of a sudden they just went away with it. It's like carrying Billy. Like they struggled carrying him. I was like, I thought they had super strength.
Yeah,
and,
that's
like,
what I was thinking.
Opening doors, like all of a sudden they can open. I mean, maybe they adapted to it, but it was just so weird. I don't know. I feel like they kind of lost.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there was a part where it's like right after they all just survived this being hit by a train, and then they jump over that cliff. Like you see, the Red Ranger. I can't remember his name now.
Jason.
You see Jason, like he makes that jump, and it like he like smacks his face or something, and just like spits out a bunch of blood. It's like a little fall like that makes you spit out a bunch of blood, but not being hit by a train. Huh?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's like.
Also, they really never explained how they went from a train, like they're literally getting hit by a train, and then somehow just magically transporting all 5 of them to their own homes. Like, is the Power Stone that powerful to transport them to somewhere? Because they never really.
They never explained how he got there.
Yeah. And also,
Although in the
go
original
on.
TV show, I mean, they could teleport.
Oh, that's true. That's
But they
true.
never teleported again.
Yeah. Well, it's like
That's
they
'cause
only
didn't
teleport when
realize
they're
they
in
had
peril.
teleported. Yeah, they hadn't realized they had teleported, and maybe that's a power they would have found in the sequel, but now we'll never know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It would have been a lot easier instead of like swimming through that grotto like every single time you want to go train. It would just be like get there in a snap.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
What'd you guys think
that
of that
might-
too? That was a weird way to enter into
Oh yes.
the lair.
Yeah.
So was the ship everything in the ship technically upside down?
Yeah, I guess because the water and stuff is up front, and I guess there's like a force field or barrier there. So I guess maybe people owning stones can enter, or like ship residents.
Maybe, or it had
So-
its own gravity field. That could also be it
Yeah.
as well.
So
Right, that's
technically,
true.
the pit was a ceiling.
That's true.
It just so one water thing. I like to
Yeah.
put the hand to damn fall, but when they put the head thing, they fall. I was like, what?
Yeah, like I also felt that was weird too. Like when they put their hand through, I'm like, so are they technically upside down or like? And then what was weird is like then the monsters found where they were, and I'm like, I'm surprised Rita wasn't like, oh, so if my minions found where they were, how come I haven't destroyed that base since they knew
Yeah.
where they were?
Yeah.
Why
Exactly.
why hasn't Rita like destroyed Zordon or anything? Like that's I don't
Why
get it.
hasn't? Yeah,
That's a
she
good
destroys
question.
Zordon. She basically wins.
Exactly.
Didn't it be like Godzilla from 2014 where they killed Bryan Cranston off within like the first 30 minutes?
Oh yes.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else you guys want to mention before we give our final scores?
I'm
Nope.
good.
All right. So, Andrew, as you may or may not know, the guest of honor and the person who picks the movie reviews and gives the final verdict of their score first. So, kick us off.
All right, so before I give my final score, are we going from like a 1 to a 10 or like a 1 to a 5? Or...
1 out of 5.
Yeah, we do out of 5.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm trying to put my bias of Power Rangers away for a minute, and so what I would say is that it was kind of hard, you know, being like, oh well, you know, watching Power Rangers this whole time. Like it was, to me personally, I think they could have done a way better job with the acting, you know. With the production, I agree with what they were saying with directing and producing, you know, making it just feel like everything at least made sense. And plus, too, there were parts where there was time agreed with the three Rangers who had way too much TV time, and like at least give everything some sense. And so overall, it's going to pain me to say this, but I think I would probably give this. I would probably give it 2.5 stars out of 5. It could have been better, but okay. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. That's as high as I'm going, as a 3 out of 5.
Are you sure? Is that your final answer?
His final answer.
That is my final answer. I'm locking it in.
Locked in.
All right. So, me personally, like I said, I'm not. I don't have any nostalgia for Power Rangers or anything like that. So I'm going into this movie as like this. You know, I'm looking at it like an action movie, like any old superhero Marvel movie.
Right.
And it just wasn't impressive to me. I found the CGI to be very impressive, which is really the only positive thing I have to say about the movie. But it was kind of like it was very boring throughout the movie. I think the ending action scene was really the only part where I was like, okay, I'm waking up a little bit. This is fine. I just felt like the acting went flat. The dialogue, the line delivery, flat. I was expecting a little bit more from the movie. And like I said, like I'm not having to, you guys mentioned like several different like secret Easter eggs, and it's like I don't even notice that stuff. It just goes over my head, and and while I was watching, I'm like, oh, so this is what it feels like to see a Marvel movie without knowing any of the lore or anything like that, or comic books. Like it was funny to me to actually be in that position, because I've really not been in that position with like DC, Marvel, anything like that.
Right.
So yeah, and also giving like. They needed to give the other two Power Rangers the same amount of screen time as the main three, because that just made the movie feel really lopsided. And I really I didn't even like I said, I lost characters in crowds and stuff like that because I didn't really I knew their faces, but I don't know their names. All I know is that they're the black and yellow Power Ranger, just like the song Black and Yellow. So all in all, I gotta give this one a 1 out of 5.
Oh. All right, I'll go next. Andrew nailed it in the coffin for me. Exactly, I agree with what he said. That just the line delivery wasn't there. Some scenes felt awkward, and the character development were so lopsided. Like Jason, like how many times did they tell us he had a big future of a quarterback? Okay, we get it. And I already said, some scenes were awkward, and it just seems like they focused on more scenes than the other, and it just felt rushed to some scenes, and there was a lot of question marks, left, like, what about this or what about that? And then Zordon, that was cool. Billy, I really did enjoy him. I loved his, like, how happy he was to be a Power Ranger and how happy he was, just being there. And when he died, I actually was kind of shocked. I was like, oh, really? I mean, I didn't, but I kind of figured he was going to come back. So, but other than that, I mean, just the story, the directing, it was just wasn't there for me. I'm going to give it a 1.5 out of 5.
Contrary to the 0 you said you were going to give it earlier.
Yeah.
Was that a secret?
I'll go next.
We're moving up in the world.
So overall, like I said, this is a perfect movie? Definitely not. But for someone who grew up with Power Rangers and watching it, I always have fun watching it. I think some of the acting isn't great. Some of the story elements are lackluster. But I think overall, like CGI said, Yemmy said, it was really good, and it's fun to see Power Rangers done in like a different take, where you see like, oh, they actually have armor this time, and it's not just some sort of lycra suit or whatever. So overall, I'd give it a 2.5 out of 5.
I agree with Yemmy. So the acting was pretty bad for most of the movie. The CGI was like really great, which I appreciate the movie taking the time to do that. And there was a lot of plot holes they did, like what plot holes they did, like why gold was her most fascinating object, and what she did nothing to pound them up, and why didn't she just kill them right there? So overall, I'll just give this movie a 1.5 out of 5.
I feel like you can't give a movie a 0. I mean,
yes,
that's why I didn't give it a 0.
Well,
that's why I didn't.
If you look at the least rated movies on IMDb, you may want to change your mind about that.
There are definitely some zeros out there.
Even on Netflix, there's a few like movies that are just like they're like knockoffs of Disney movies and stuff like that. That just like, trust me, I've seen a few that have just been like, oh. Like you stop watching after like 5 minutes because you're like, this is not going to get any better. It's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, thank you to AndrewMycol for coming on to the podcast. He has a YouTube channel. Make sure you check him out. I'll put the link in the description below. He live streams Mario Maker and Splatoon, and he is, of course, a Power Rangers aficionado. And he does a lot of videos on that as well. So if you want to, you can definitely check him out. And I'm sure he'll be recommending an older Power Rangers movie in the future, which we would be happy to have him back on for if he wants.
Yeah, I mean, I'll come on if it somehow wins a second time. So
yeah, I'll check out Mighty Morphin again.
Yeah,
bring my love back for it.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be this exact same movie we just watched, guys.
Yeah. And just another round.
Trust me, I will not put you through that kind of torture. I'll just throw it back to 95 and just be like, oh, here we go with the corny stuff again.
But it gets better with each viewing, guys.
That's true.
How many times have you watched the movie, Tay? Are you hypnotized by it now?
I mean, I've seen the movie 3 times now.
Woo!
So,
yeah, I wouldn't want to put you through it watching it a 4th time.
Well,
would you guys rather, in this form of Film Freaks, and Andrew, if you watched Brightburn, you can answer too. Would you rather watch Power Rangers 2017 or Brightburn?
Brightburn.
Power Rangers 2017. Hands
Yeah,
down.
I mean, I didn't even watch Brightburn, but based on what I had seen, I don't know if it really was received well or not, but I was like, to me, it felt like Brightburn was playing off as like this kid who had special powers and is like a bad kind of like superhero, and I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just watch Power Rangers 2017 than Brightburn.
Well, we have a full
it was supposed
in-depth
to be an
discussion
evil
about
Superman.
it. So that was a few episodes ago now, but we talked. I think that was one of our most in-depth conversations about a movie yet.
It was so bad. I would watch Power Rangers over Shrek Forever After as well.
I would watch Shrek Forever After over Brightburn.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd watch Shrek Forever After over Brightburn as well.
Oh,
Wow.
it's going crazy right now.
We're burying Brightburn as we know it.
Brightburn was bad.
Burn Brightburn.
All right, y'all. Well, I have a movie to recommend for the next episode, and I want to go back to a personal favorite of mine, which came out in 2012, and it's a movie called Dread, which was directed by Pete Travis. The synopsis of the movie is, in the future, America is a dystopian wasteland. The latest scourge is Mama, a prostitute turned drug pusher with a dangerous new drug and aims to take over the city. The only possibility of stopping her is an elite group of urban police called Judges, who combine the duties of judge, jury, and executioner to deliver a brutal brand of swift justice. But even the top-ranking judge, Dredd, discovers that taking down Mama isn't as easy as it seems in their explosive adaptation of the hugely popular comic series. Being a fan of the comic books, this was definitely like a high-ranking movie on my list of accuracy to comic books, and I haven't seen it since like 2012, so that's why I really want to watch it again.
Was this the one with Carl Urban?
Yes, sir. I was about to get to the actors right now. So yeah, Carl Urban, Olivia Thirlby, Lena Headey, Wood Harris, Langley Kirkwood, Junior Singo, Luke Tyler, and Jason Cope, to name a few. So yeah, this is the one with Carl Urban, not with Sylvester Stallone. I remember watching it in theaters and also on Blu-ray. I still have it myself. And I just remember the visuals and the gunfights and the action just being top-notch, like out of this world. So I'm really excited to get back to this, to watch it again and see if it holds up.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it before. I think Yemmy actually got me into it, or let me borrow the movie. I think I have it. But yeah, he's like, you got to watch it, and I remember his passion for it, and I watched it. I remember liking it too, so it'll be a good revisit.
Can't wait.
Fun to watch. Hope
That was cool.
Where can you watch it? Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, Vudu, YouTube, PlayStation Store, Redbox, Fandango, and of course the Microsoft Store, aka Xbox. So it's pretty much available, and you can also actually stream it on Pluto TV, which I believe is a free service. But I
think it is. Yeah.
I think it's like it's kind of like a TV service where it's like you have regular intervals, so it might not be. It's probably not the best place to watch it. Mm-hmm. But I have the Blu-ray of it, so I'm just gonna watch it on the Blu-ray. But yeah. So I'm excited to get back to that one. Andrew, any thoughts on Dread? Have you seen it before?
So I remember the old one, like you were saying about the Sylvester Stallone one. I've seen that one, but I don't think I've seen the 2012 one. So who knows? I might indulge myself into the 2012 one this week, and I'll let you guys know what I think about it.
Hell yeah! Let us know in the comments below. Right? That's what we always say.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyone else have anything they would like to say? Andrew, do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about?
Well, recently, not really anything Power Ranger related, but it's just Power Rangers is just, it's on a hiatus now, and with everything going on with the world, like even the Japanese version of Power Rangers, which is going on, it's like there's literally nothing going on now. So until like August or whatnot, it really right now I don't have much going on right now except Super Mario Maker 2 to fill in the time, but. All I could say is that, if anyone is like, if anyone is bored of, wanting something to watch Power Ranger related, the current season Beast Morphers, the YouTube channel has actually been streaming some of the episodes.
Oh, wow.
If you're ever bored and are looking for anything to watch Power Ranger related, the Power Ranger official YouTube channel, they have been streaming episode 1 through episode 9 of this year's Power Rangers season. So if you ever get bored or anything, you can watch it and see how the 2020 version of Power Rangers is going.
It's good to know. Good to know, indeed.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching and or listening to this episode of Film Freaks with a Z. We appreciate everyone who watches and listens, of course. And like I said, if you want to get your film recommended just like Andrew and the people in the past and get a chance to come onto the podcast as a guest, just write your movie recommendation in the comments below, or you can send us an email at ff.filmfreakswithaz@gmail.com. All right, well, once again, I am YemmytheFerret, and I've been here with...
Grady Waffle.
Taymation.
Coco Gamer.
And your special honor, Mr. AndrewMycol himself.
And you have been listening or watching to an episode of Film Freaks with a Z. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.
Go Power Rangers.
Go Power Rangers.